Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Balasubramanian Tyagarajan. Today I'm going to take you down my memory lane. Actually, it all started off when I was cleaning up my old cupboard, and ironically, I found out or discovered a CD room. That CD had Windows 98 written over it. Fortunately, I had even written down the Windows key on the back side of the CD. The moment I touched the CD, my mind went backwards nearly 2 decades back when I managed to purchase a compact Presario desktop. In fact, the price was astronomical those days when compared to today's standards. I had to apply a bank loan to get it. It's laughable, but still, that was the truth. It cost me around 66,000 Indian rupee. And the hardware, just listen to the specs I'm going to tell you. The processor was Intel Pentium first generation with a clock speed of around 433 megahertz. I repeat again, you heard it right. It is 433 megahertz. Now, when you compare it with our current process speed, around 3300 gigahertz these days, and it had a RAM of 64 MB. You heard it right. The RAM was 64 MB, not in GB. Even mobile phones these days have a minimum of 4 GB RAM. So that was the hardware which I purchased, and it had a hard disk of about 10 GB capacity, and it was running Windows 98 pre-installed. And those days it was suffice to make use of that system, and I was able to do whatever I'm doing today with the same old system. Those days I used to make presentations in PowerPoint. I used to edit videos. All these things were possible 2 decades ago with the same Windows, the same operating system. I mean, earlier version, and with the specs, a laughable specs. Let me tell you, by current days standards, the hardware specs was pretty laughable. But still, you should also know the entire Windows operating system fit into a CD-ROM drive. CD-ROM, everybody knows it has a capacity of 700 MB, and the installation size or the files of the Windows 98 came to around roughly around 450 MB. So that was the amount of space the operating system required, and it managed to fulfill all the requirements. Even now, if you can get a system of those specs, still you can install and run a Windows 98 in a most productive way. So I'm not like putting down the current day system, but what has happened to the current day system is the hardware has been jacked up to, what do you say, to quench the thirst of the gaming community, wherein they have managed to add more and more RAM, more and more space into the disk, and more processing speed. And at what cost? We are consuming more energy. For the current day PC of those days consumed very little energy when compared to the PC of these days. So that is the reality. So I thought, let me try and install this operating system into my current desktop. I know it will be a problem. So I thought, let me try installing it in a virtual device. And my first attempt was, I thought, let me go to the native Windows virtualization software, that is Hyper-V. I tried installing in Hyper-V, but I hit roadblocks. So there was some issues and I was not able to complete the installation, and maybe I need to spend some time tweaking the settings of the Hyper-V. So I thought I will leave it for a better time. So I will work on it and try it. I'm not going to abandon the effort. But I tried installing the same thing into me another virtualization software, VMware, and it managed to install in VMware without any problem. So I thought I have even managed to record a video of the entire installation process. So I thought I will share those videos with you. And the same installation process video can be seen on the screen. So I'm showing you a video. See, I'm starting off with installing the new virtual machine wizard. Then on clicking the next button, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show the VMware where I have managed to store my installation file. And it has even identified the Windows software as Windows 98 second edition. And then I'm clicking next. I'm not tweaking any settings. I'll just save the installation file into a convenient folder of my own in my desktop. So I create in a separate partition. I managed to store the installation file, and so it's actually a new virtual machine. I've just given it a name as Windows 98 in order to prevent confusion. So the minimum disk space is around, say I'll give it around 10 GB, which was in fact more or less the same RAM I had. And then on clicking the next button, the entire settings have been customized, and we are ready to go. So let me click the finish button, and we are ready to go. Now I'm going to start the installation process. Let us see what happens. The installation process starts inside with the virtual environment VMware. I'm going to boot the machine from the hard disk, sorry, the virtual machine, not the real machine, virtual machine from the CD-ROM drive. I'm going to start the entire process. And mind you, this is actually a DOS based system. So you need to use your keyboard frequently to get it. See, this is actually the setup screen which tells what you need to do. So on pressing enter, you can start the process. First, you need to configure the space, and then I'm going to enable the large disk support. So that Windows will be able to read a space of more than 4 GB, and then I'm going to start the installation process. So it is started loading the drivers. All the drivers have been loaded. The bus scan has been completed. Now it is going to format the C drive, and it's actually fat file system is used for the formatting purpose. Only those days NTFS system was used only for the server version and not for the regular Windows. So Windows 98 actually resided in the fat partition. So it is formatting the drive C. See how long it takes to format the drive. Very, very, very slow by the present day standards. We were patient those days, I should say that. And in fact, this machine taught me a lot and has put me where I am now. So that is the reason why I love going back. Always, I love retracing the steps I have traveled with fond memories. I have a lot of fond, cherished memories. And this particular CD-ROM drive, which contained the Windows 98, really made me take some time off my routine and do a virtual installation for the purpose of 2000 kids, because they may not have had an opportunity to see these operating system, leave alone working on it. But they are used to a faster pace of life, they are used to luxury. Those days we were not luxurious enough to have the current hardware configuration, but still we managed to work around, and still we managed to be productive with what we had. So that is what I should say as a parting remark. And the formatting is nearly getting over. It's 97%, 99. So this is actually the most crucial part. Windows 98 formatted, not only formatted, on the next screen it will verify the entire hard disk for errors. So on pressing enter, it will start the verification process of the hard disk. It is going to see, you will be seeing it. So So now the verification process has started, has been verified. Now the setup has already started. You need to use the keyboard. So here you see continue, click on the continue, and the setup is preparing for the installation. See, it allows you to select the directory. I have allowed it to be set to default, see Windows, and then it starts the installation. So I'm going to choose typical so that I want to complete the process without any hassles. So I chose the default typical one. So again, let me click the next button so that the process can continue further. If you look at the sidebar, you will see that estimated time of installation is around 30 minutes, half an hour, and I'm going to allow all the default settings. Then I'm going to change the location to my country of origin. That I'll try it. There is it. That is my location, and then I'm going to click next, and I'm starting the installation process proper. I get the welcome screen right now, and then the file copy process starts. This is actually initially Windows came out with Windows 95. It is actually a subsequent upgrade for Windows 95. It's called Windows 98, and it had a number of enhancements, GUI enhancements. It had better support for the hardware, including audio and video, as well as our graphic drivers were totally rewritten. That is the reason why this operating system was popular for nearly 10 years after it was launched. Nowadays, no operating system is popular for 10 years, for a decade. So this one was popular for more than a decade. And large number of home as well as office computers ran Windows 98 those days. In fact, I learned my visual programming using this Windows 9, the same machine with the same configuration. I learned my Visual Basic as well as Visual C Plus with the same configuration system. Of course, those days games were very primitive. We used to have a few games, but none of which match today's gamers' appetite. And see, about 84% of the file copying is over. So let us see our final result, end result, I should say. It gives you a big thank you after completing the installation process, and then restart request is given. So this is where we used to hold our breath because we don't know which driver is going to create problems, and if it's going to be a graphic driver, the Windows won't boot at all. So we keep our fingers crossed till we see this welcome screen. The moment we see this screen, we just give out a sigh of relief. Those days when we install Windows. So when this blue screen indicates two things, either the installation could have gone with seamlessly, or it could be a blue screen of death. I don't know. Let us see what happens. Yeah, so I'm happy. So the Windows has started. Just ask for user information. I'm just giving my name, and then I'm accepting the agreement. The next will be, it'll ask for a key, product key. Fortunately, I written down the product key in the back of the CD cover, so I'm going to key in the same key. So I'm not going to hide the key. They let it be there. So I'm going to allow other users to see the key, because this operating system is nearly 2 decades old. So I'm not bothered about much about the privacy of the Windows product key. So I'm allowing the users to see the key as I do the keying. Now clicking the next button, it will verify the key is verified, and then yes, Windows 90 has managed to save my details. And now this is where Windows will try to update its database, local database, with all the device drivers properly cataloged so that it can call whenever it is needed. It looks for any plug and play devices. Presence of these plug and play devices will ensure that the optimal drivers are loaded at the time of boot. So I'm allowing the video to run real time because just to give the viewer an idea of how long it really takes for the entire setup to complete. So it next comes the hardware detection screen where it attempts to scan for the presence of any compatible hardwares installed within the system. This takes some time. I'm not fast forwarding or rushing the video. Let the user have some idea of how patient we were those days. That's now almost getting over. Now it's setting up the hardware, loading the drivers. This is again one of the crucial time where the device hardwares or drivers are loaded. Now it asks for a restart and to enable that the graphic drivers that run the monitor gets loaded. Now it is setting up the hardware. This is actually the time when the graphic drivers gets loaded. So now it sets up the time zone. You have the opportunity to change the time zone if you want. So I'm going to change it to plus 4:15, 4:30 GMT. Then I'm going to apply and close the screen. Then it's going to load the control panel. Then it just updates the programs of the start menu, just loads the Windows help file and begins to update the system settings. This is where we give out a sigh of relief because when the Windows starts to the process of updating the system settings, it really lets us know that everything is fine with the installation and our machine is fit to be used in around 5 minutes time. So that's how this is the most reassuring screen for us when we install Windows 98. I think we're almost done. The last few settings are getting configured. We should be seen soon rebooting the Windows 98 in its pristine reboot condition. Yeah, I'm really testing your patience right now. Yeah, everything is fine. I'm going to restart the system soon, and just click the restart button. You'll be able to restart. So Windows is so restarting. Let us see how the screen looks like. So this is how the boot screen looks. You log in. I'm not given any password. Just give OK. Sometimes if it has not loaded any specific device driver to the peripherals already installed, it will say it's unknown device, prompting you to load the driver, appropriate driver. See, right now you see the welcome Windows screen. So on clicking the start button, all the programs will become visible to the viewer. So thanks for your patience. Thanks for holding my hands into my past so that everybody will have a opportunity of looking back behind their shoulder, and that is particularly needed these days, the importance of history. Everybody would love to go back down the memory lane, and this is one opportunity which allows me to share some of the events that took place in my life. So right now this is a fully functional Windows 98. You are visualizing, see the programs, all these things are possible. Thank you so much. I'm shutting down the mission. Thank you so much for your patience.